Ratchet and Clank is one of Sony's longest running series to still get regular new releases. Some people watching might not remember this, or even be old enough to have been there, but when the first game released in 2002, the idea of having a cartoony 3D platformer where you used guns was a pretty novel concept. That, along with its T rating, made it feel like Jak and Daxter's edgier, cooler Big Brother. Well, until that series came back and out-edged Ratchet & Clank to become Edgelord King with its gun-filled sequel, Jak 2. Still, those games did their thing their way, and the Ratchet & Clank games did their thing their way, to great success. Both of the title characters are extremely likable, as are the supporting cast. The cartoony, comedic sci-fi world you're put into is all its own and fun to explore. And using the over-the-top weapons and equipment is a blast. Pun intended. These are very well-made games that, for the most part, get better with each new iteration. It's no wonder we've gotten new entries on nearly every Sony platform since the release of the first. And it's also no wonder that a very blatant copycat would eventually come along and try and cash in on this popularity. That brings us to Ruff Trigger. This 2006 release has you playing as Ruff, a badass bounty-hunting dog who's sent on a rescue mission to a distant planet. You're given an arsenal of sci-fi weapons you slowly unlock through a shop, and take on everything that gets in your way, as you platform your way through the game's sci-fi world. So this one really doesn't alter the gameplay much to try and hide that it's a ripoff. Maybe they didn't care. I mean, the whole shop system, yeah, Ratchet & Clank did that more or less the same. The whole space adventure starring edgy animal creatures, yep, it's here. The look of the world is often extremely similar. I mean, look at this. The flying vehicles darting through the sky in a sci-fi city, that's something you see a lot of in Ratchet & Clank. I mean, even the health pickups are nearly identical. The biggest difference is the color. Back to the edginess. This game really wants to outdo even the likes of Shadow the Hedgehog because, well, just listen.
Hey, what the hell happened to you?
Yeah, that's right. They said, what the hell? This game has very mild swearing. It truly lives up to its E10 rating? Well, the first Ratchet & Clank came out before that rating existed, so I'll give them a pass. But yeah, this game really pushes that 10. They don't just say what the hell once, they say it in like every other cutscene. We might have found a new Edgelord King here.
What the hell is this?
In this search for edginess, they kind of made a not so likable character. I don't know, I mean, Ruff looks like a cute, fun dog on the cover, but in the game, he's nothing like that. He just looks kind of like an asshole. Actually, these cutscenes don't do the game any favors. They are pretty bad, even by PS2 standards. If there's one thing that's rough in this game, it's these. The in-game graphics, though, are fine, but my thoughts on the character remain. The feel of the gameplay is overall very similar to Ratchet & Clank, though not quite as satisfying, and with a few noticeable differences. Like the Ratchet games, you can use melee attacks to conserve ammo, but this game tried to one-up that series by giving you a bunch of complex combos you can pull off. Why, though? Maybe certain enemies I never encountered need to be defeated with them, but it seems like overkill to give this game fighting game moves. You also have lives, which Ratchet & Clank doesn't. I think by the time this game came out, a lot of 3D platformers had gotten over the whole life thing, but this seems to be one of the few holdovers. Now, the way you use firearms is slightly weird. You hold R1 to aim at an enemy, but if you move away from them, you're no longer aiming at them. You need to also hold L1 at the same time to actually lock onto them, being able to fire at them while strafing. A lot of the time it works fine, but it still feels kind of odd and a bit unnatural. And as with Ratchet & Clank, you occasionally use vehicles. Here's a part where you're on a motorcycle in a race against time, which is pretty cool, I guess. One more thing you can do that isn't in Ratchet & Clank is transform into a werewolf. Yeah, early in the game you gain this werewolf transformation ability and can turn into it at any time. You can't use your weapons anymore, but instead have special werewolf powers. I didn't really feel the need to use it that often though, as I preferred using the game's guns. Oh, and this did predate Sonic Unleashed, in case you're wondering. Another big aspect of the gameplay that isn't in Ratchet & Clank is that you have to frequently rescue these little creatures called piglots. You just pick them up or lead them into these teleportation devices to unlock doors and stuff like that. It's just busy work, I guess. Also, why are they called piglots when they look like puppies? They don't seem that pig-like to me. But yeah, that's the gist of Rough Trigger. It plays fine, I guess. Again, not as satisfying of a feel as Ratchet & Clank, but it's adequate. Some of the guns are fun to use, and I liked how the boss in one of the early levels keeps reappearing more destroyed and beaten up until you finally beat it. It's got some creative moments and level design. I mean, I never got lost or anything like that, but still, this is mainly a recommend only if you've played all the Ratchet & Clank games and want something similar. And even then, you should probably just play the second and third Jak and Daxter game if you want something like that. Welp, that's that. Now, before you get super upset thinking I besmirched the name of your beloved game by calling it a ripoff, don't forget that being a ripoff isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it even adds to the enjoyment. And also,
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to see more like it in the future. Fans of the channel may also want to consider supporting it on Patreon or as a YouTube member for early access footage, the chance to pick games for review, and more. Well, with that said, I guess it's time to close this thing out. As always, thanks for watching The Legend of Games.